Welcome to the Environmental Podcast review of the 92nd Academy Award Show. Last night was a wild ride with Parasite absolutely cleaning up for the awards, and really just everyone's favorite stars getting together on the red carpet.
All the stars were out last night.
Yeah, they were. It kicked off the night, everyone getting out of their limos and hitting the red carpet.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever watched a red carpet before.
Okay.
Have you ever watched a red carpet?
I've seen
I've seen bits and bots, bits and bites, but I've never seen it so live as I watched it last night. And it was worrying to me, the coverage.
The people who...
That kind of obsessive celebrity culture. I mean, here we are doing an episode about the Oscars, but I guess we're...
more of a critique, I guess.
It's a critique as well as a review.
Yes.
But yeah, it was just when they were like, oh my God, everyone, Brad Pitt's here. And they would like frantically pan the camera, and then it turned out it wasn't Brad Pitt and it was someone else. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind. It's just a normie.
Yeah.
And they kept referring to like the velvet rope, I guess, that separated the specials from the normies.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
But I mean, the stream we were watching, the anchors were a bit...
Eager.
I
think it's because the stream we were watching, they weren't on the red carpet, they were on the balcony. So they were really let down that they weren't allowed to touch Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I can empathize with them. Yeah, it was interesting. Like, Brad Pitt, for example, had long hair, and they were all like, he could have taken like an inch off.
Yeah, they were very much
very critical.
They were very critical. I thought they would be more like fawning over the celebrities, but no, they were always like, oh no, she doesn't pull that off. As
people got out of their cars, they would like be touching up or whatever before they hit the carpet.
Yeah.
They'd be like, yeah, the cameras get everything. It's like...
oh, yes, we do, hon.
Yeah. It's like, you're wearing cat ears right now. Stop.
Also, when one of the celebrities went to reach into a handbag to get something out, and they were like, zoom, let's see what's in the bag. Let's see what's in the bag. I was like, what is this? What am I watching? So it felt kind of gross, I guess, like a gross spectacle. The red carpet especially.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are there any merits to it, or is it just, as it seems to be, this kind of terrible... celebrity worship kind of thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
No merits to it?
Well, besides the fact that, like, I imagine if I was an actor, just because there's been 92 years of this, it's a bit of a, like, achievement to get to walk it. So
it's
besides
an honor,
the experience
it's
for the actual actors.
It's a red carpet. They lay them out for the actors, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see, for the public, I see nothing but really some kind of weird...
Yeah.
Because it's like...
I mean, I kind of like getting to see the fashion.
Like this year, at least, there were no like innovations I found.
Well, it's not going to be a runway.
Yeah.
Is the thing. It's always going to be, Brad Pitt's always going to be wearing this. The leading actress is always going to be wearing this.
Yeah.
So that, I guess, will never really be that interesting, probably.
Yeah. I can see it getting more of a runway type event. Because I feel like when I was younger, it used to be. I never really watched it, but I remember being...
Well, we had Lady Gaga out there doing her stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the Oscars is kind of more esteemed. You don't really have people wearing meat dresses, unfortunately.
Yeah, honestly.
But do we have any looks, particular looks that we wanted to mention?
Well...
Good or bad?
Stop. I was expecting to see not all black suits. Timothée Chalamet was the only one that I noticed who wasn't wearing a black suit. Even then, he was wearing, like, suit pants with, like, this more sporty jacket. And a really nice brooch, but I liked his look, and there were a few of the dresses that I liked, but
overall kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, there was nothing crazy.
I agree.
I feel like it's the kind of event that you just wear something more relaxed too.
More snazzy.
It's a very classy event, I guess.
Yeah.
Traditionally classy.
Shall we get straight into the awards then?
Yeah.
Should we try and do it without the kind of over the top lengthy pauses and bloviating and introduction of introducers and presenting of presenters that the Oscars do?
Yes, we can. I had one thing actually that I wanted to mention about the red carpet.
Sure.
Because Joaquin Phoenix came out and he was wearing the suit, just like a regular suit, black and white, and the award show hosts were like, or the red carpet hosts were going crazy. They were like, he's actually decided to wear the same suit to every single
all award
red carpet
season
to save the planet. And I'm like, couldn't any, like, if it's a black suit, like, why is that such a big deal that he's wearing the same one? Like, I just assumed lots of people wear the same suits. Dresses are a bit different because they're very memorable.
I think you're being quite sexist there.
No, I know, but I mean like
I'm kidding.
just
No,
the suits like themselves. I was
I
confused.
mean, probably some lesser stars have done it before, but
Yeah.
the people who are nominees for the leading actors, I mean, DiCaprio, Adam Driver, Joaquin Phoenix, those are like usually the biggest stars in Hollywood, so they probably get a new one every time usually.
Okay.
So it's a big deal for such a big actor, I assume, to say, let's stop this.
Yeah.
I mean, he was also kind of anti the whole celebrity thing in general anyway, so
Yeah,
that
makes
just kind of
sense.
falls right in line.
But yeah, they were saying it was because he wanted to save the planet. So that was the only mention of anything social on the red carpet
Yeah, true.
this year. So, into the awards.
We're starting off with actor in a supporting role. We're going to try and do it in the same order that the Academy Awards did last night.
Yes.
And
The winner was Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Bringing Bagels.
Yeah, he was good in that movie.
I really liked that movie, and I think he was really good in it. My personal pick was actually not even nominated. I think it was the biggest snub of the whole night, and it was Willem Dafoe for The Lighthouse.
Yes, he was incredible.
He was incredible as this gnarly old lighthouse keeper.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite quotes, it's from a different award show, when he did win for supporting actor, and they said, congrats to Willem Dafoe, who finally got to play a lighthouse keeper after being one for his whole life. Because he was born to play the role, and he kills the dialect and he kills the look. I mean, he just disappeared into it for the whole 2 hours, and I mean, he was incredible.
Yeah.
But that movie really was snubbed in some other aspects as well. I don't know why they didn't recognize him for this.
But that was because I didn't watch that movie. I just saw one of his monologues.
Yeah.
There was two characters in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was this black and white, like it was incredible.
Yeah,
It was
black
a
and
feat.
white, almost square, just Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe stuck on a rock, and then crazy things happen.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it. It was one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah. Who I had for my pick was Joe
Pesci
Pesci
from The Irishman.
from The Irishman, because there were two people nominated, Al Pacino and Joe Pesci from The Irishman, and I just really liked him. He was the head
The head mob guy. Yeah.
mob guy, and he did a really good job. He did. Yeah, but I thought all the acting in that movie was great as well.
And we just watched that yesterday, right? So it's very fresh.
We did, yes.
The acting was definitely a standout in The Irishman, and it ended up not winning anything, right?
It didn't win anything, but
My-
it was an incredibly strong year. Which I'm
Yeah,
sure
it
we'll
was
get
it was a
into more.
stacked year. But yeah, Brad Pitt, congratulations. He gave a nice speech about kind of his time in Hollywood. He said, "Once upon a time in Hollywood." What a great line or something.
Yeah.
Which is true because it was very much a throwback night, I think, and a lot of the movies nominated were very throwback.
Yeah.
And he also gave a big shout out to all the stuntmen in Hollywood, which was nice. Obviously,
Yeah.
he played a stuntman in the movie. Congratulations, Brad Pitt, your first ever acting win.
Yeah.
Number 2 was animated feature film, the category that we missed the presentation of.
Yes, because we were still watching The Irishman.
Yeah.
That was a long movie, but it was worth it.
Yeah. Anyway,
The
the animated feature film for the 92nd Academy Awards, the winner goes to.
Toy Story 4.
Disappointing for me.
Okay, I see where you're coming from, but the thing is, I thought the animation was really good. Just like the technical animation of it was good.
Oh, come on.
But at the same, I know my pick wasn't that because
This
Missing
is
Link
this
was
is I think this is
incredible.
the Disney win. This
That
is
was
the
the
Toy
Disney
Story
win.
for the Randy Newman, the Disney win, the Tom Hanks win.
Yeah,
I think it's all the lobbying. I think Missing Link was way more impressive.
it was more impressive.
Animation-wise, it was stop motion, and neither of us even believed that when we watched it the first time.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And every exterior looked amazing. I don't know. I think it was a better looking movie than Toy Story 4.
Yeah, it was better looking. It was better technically, but I mean, like, I was upset
My-
with Toy Story 1, but
My pick for animated feature was between I Lost My Body and Missing Link, but I knew I Lost My Body wouldn't win because it was a very small French kind of lower budget animated film, but the story was so good. It follows like a detached hand trying to find its way across Paris to its owner.
yes.
The other nominees, How to Train Your Dragon was not good.
It was.
And I love those movies, unfortunately. I love the first two, and I was like, we're going to be in for an epic trilogy closer, and then it was just not
It
that
was
for me.
this weird. There were like 6 plots.
I think the plot was just bad.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
None of the characters made any sense.
Because it was like, Toothless is going to find this dragon. Hiccup is going to find this person.
Yeah, it was just who's going to find this, who's lost here. The exact same as Toy Story 4, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
And Toy Story 4, I was like, okay, they made another one. They must have had a real reason to make another one. And then it started and it became evident that, okay, Woody's leaving.
Yes.
But then when he left, I didn't feel a thing because I felt like they really rushed his goodbye. Yeah, it was just kind of like, okay, Woody's gone now.
You watched Toy Story and you expect to cry.
Yeah, I did.
But they didn't.
There wasn't even any moment where I was supposed to cry.
I
did like Forky though.
Forky was fine.
When he kept trying to run and jump into the trash over and over, I did like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on though.
Yeah.
Also shout out to Klaus. It was a well animated movie. I like the look of it. Unique, kind of forgettable though.
It was just like a classic Christmas story.
Yeah, it'll be rewatched.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3.
Animated short film.
This one went to Hair Love. Did you watch that?
I didn't.
I watched it. It was very cute. It was between that and Kitball for me because those were the only two that I watched. I kind of would have preferred Kitball, but Hair Love was very good animation. One thing that is notable, I guess, about this category is that the two frontrunners, which were Hair Love and Kitball, both went to Disney and I think DreamWorks, respectively, or maybe Sony Animation. So the short films, especially the animated short films, usually go to smaller filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, the two frontrunners were both from big companies, so maybe that's notable in some way.
Yeah, it could be. I could see. I don't know. I still don't know why short films aren't
more esteemed.
Yeah.
Well, I only just started watching them in the last couple of weeks as we prepared to record this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when I was tracking them down, I was thinking I should be watching these all year because most people, they just watch YouTube videos, but this is just a more artistic version of doing that.
Yeah.
And they're usually better quality, so.
Yeah, I think so. I went to an animated short film festival once. Yeah, it was very, like, I had no idea what we were getting into. It was a French school trip, and they said we're just going here. And it was incredible. I liked every single one of them, because they're such concentrated efforts.
Yeah, I really like them.
Yeah.
And also because animated, usually it's because the smaller studios can't make a feature film animated because it's too expensive, so that's why animated shorts are so big. But anyway, congrats to Hair Love. Well deserved. Then we're moving on to
original screenplay.
Yes.
Which was okay.
This was a stacked category.
Every single one of them were like incredible. Even Knives Out, which I think they're hoping I'm moving into a franchise.
Yeah, they're making sequels.
And I think that's a great idea.
Knives Out was hilarious. They had that whole donut inside of a donut, and the donut hole was actually a donut itself.
It was good. It was
a tinier
really
donut.
Fun movie.
It was funny. It was a great whodunit.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Marriage Story.
Marriage Story was my pick.
Was the highlight. My pick as well.
It
was so good. Like, okay, the acting and the script were like the highlights of the movie.
Yeah.
Normally for me it's the cinematography, but that one was just, it was so good. Every part of it. Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson.
1917 I thought was meh, but it kind of got nominated I think by default for a lot of categories. Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had great script as well, and Parasite, which was the winner for this category.
Parasite was incredibly original.
You can't deny this film.
Because the thing is, a lot of these films that were nominated this year were a lot of kind of like tributes I found to like.
Well, yeah, Once Upon a Time is like old Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the Irish
is a war movie.
Yeah, and the Irishman is just kind of a last hurrah for all these classics, all these greats of cinema.
Yeah. Knives Out was like a whodunit.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And Joker was very much paying tribute to the 70s.
Yeah.
Taxi Driver and movies like that. And then Parasite came out and it was just so new. Obviously Little Women, like the 10th adaptation of this. Yeah, Parasite was just so new. It was like nothing we've seen before. The screenplay was just, I never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
A wildly original idea for a movie. I still wouldn't even know what genre that is.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, it was great. You just have to watch it. So Parasite, well deserved for original screenplay. Marriage Story, tough luck.
Yeah.
I think we can say that because Marriage Story didn't win aside from an acting win. Didn't win any other awards.
But that and The Irishman.
Just unfortunate.
Just was unfortunate. They both deserved more than they got.
Any other year, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It was just too strong.
So going from original screenplay to adapted.
Yeah. Who was your pick for that, Aaron?
The Irishman.
Mine as well. Yeah, I thought that was really good, but it could have been because I just sat through 3.5 hours of it.
Yeah, but you didn't sit through it though. It was
good.
It was such a slow burn, but it was so good, and
it was kind of new as well. It was like.
Yeah, it was. I think it was because usually, okay, we've got Pacino, De Niro, Pesci, Scorsese in this big kind of sprawling mob epic. Okay. And then for the last 45 minutes, half an hour, it just changes. The characters get old. Everyone dies except for the main character. And it kind of goes into this like religious contemplation kind of piece. I had this movie described as the kind of two parts of Scorsese's career combined. So he has the kind of the religious contemplation piece like Silence, Last Temptation of Christ. And then he has the kind of more Scorsese, you know, gangster mob movies.
Yes.
And this was kind of lumping them together, and I agree with it. I think it was a great idea, a really unique movie. And I loved it for what it was. And people talk about the runtime, but I don't think they could have cut anything. It was just a big story.
Yeah. I could see people, now this has kind of set a precedent for
longer
really
movies on
long
Netflix?
movie. Yeah. 'Cause the thing with them being on Netflix is that you don't have to sit in a theater for that long.
True, you can make your own intermissions, which is what we did.
Yes.
But yeah, tough luck, The Irishman, because Jojo Rabbit was the winner, and unfortunately can't speak on this because I didn't watch it.
We didn't get to see it because we couldn't find it anywhere.
No, but it looked
really good.
It looked like a great idea from the first trailer. I was like, I like this kind of satirical look on Nazi Germany, and I think Taika Waititi was a great person to do it.
Yes.
I love him.
He's great.
The movie looked very good, so probably deserved winner, so congrats to Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I really look forward to seeing that someday. It had a really short run time, I think, here. Jojo Rabbit for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Live action short film is next.
Okay.
Getting back into the shorts.
So the thing with short films that I really appreciate is that they have such a short amount of time to just get the story across that they want to tell.
Yes.
And some of these seem to have a really powerful and...
message, yep.
Like,
and they can kind of go high concept.
Ones.
They don't have to have it be drenched in a lot of plot, characters. It's kind of concentrated cinema.
Yes.
And the winner goes to, for live action short film,
The Neighbor's Window.
Or as Shia LaBeouf presented it, The Neighbor's Widow.
Yes. Yeah. That was the only live action short that I watched.
Right. I watched a few.
And I really didn't like it.
It was bad.
It seems like if you told a kid, you're like, hey, make a short film, this is the concept they would come up with.
It was bad. It was basic.
Yeah.
It was ugly, which I don't think you can really excuse in a short film.
Yeah.
I guess it was trying to be profound about voyeurism and the grass is always greener or something like that, but appreciating what you have. But for me, it was just like, this is bad.
It was the most predictable.
Yeah, it was, dare I say, Oscar bait.
It's just not good.
No.
I was shocked it was nominated and then it won.
But anyway, congrats to The Neighbor's Window. I think Brotherhood should have won. I think it was not even just of the short films, but of all the movies I watched in the last year, it was one of the best looking ones. It looked incredible. They were playing. It was set in Tunisia, and it was about kind of family dynamics as the son returns home from ISIS, and we don't know the exact circumstances surrounding that. He comes home with a wife. It's about 25 minutes long, I think, and the movie, it just has really, really rich colors. You know, you've got the desert and the greenery and the house and all that stuff. Great costumes, great acting, and I think they weren't even all, like most of them were first-time actors. And the cinematography was like doing this interesting thing where it played with the focus a lot. I really, really liked Brotherhood. I was really hoping it would win, but alas. The Neighbor's Window. Bit of a snub there, I think.
Cool.
Production design is the next category.
Yes. Again, all of the sets that were nominated were fair. Parasite literally built a mansion.
Yeah. Parasite was my pick.
Okay.
I was going Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was hoping that would win, but then I learned that the big house in Parasite, which is kind of the focal point of the whole movie.
Yeah.
The production design kind of is that movie when you think about it.
Yeah. And the same with my pick was 1917 because of the amount of work that had to go into building
the sets, right?
They literally had to dig the trenches and film out exactly how long, or like measure out exactly how long they had to be.
Yeah, because it was such a unique movie, you know, all long takes, so they had to map out the distance they needed for the sets. So that would have been a deserved pick as well, but it went to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I wasn't surprised because it's a movie about old Hollywood, and the Academy usually likes rewarding that.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying this.
So the sets were great in that as well.
Yeah, it wasn't undeserved.
Yeah.
It was very very immersive movie. The sets were good. Old LA. I mean, we all like watching that. Brad Pitt driving around in his car. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
But I still think Parasite should have won.
Yeah, it was very impressive. But I mean, it's not like they didn't get
Yeah, it wasn't a snub. That's the
No.
thing. This year was so stacked with genuine masterpieces that for the most part, I don't think we can complain about snubs. Except
No.
Willem Dafoe for The Lighthouse should
Yeah,
have
some
at
of the
least
acting
been
ones were a bit
nominated.
like,
Well, we'll get to that, I think.
we will, yes. Anyway, next is costume design.
And it goes to.
Little Women.
I was happy about this.
Yes,
I really
so was
wanted
I.
Little Women to win. I think the costumes were very memorable. I think they're
Yeah,
all
I think
very.
so.
I mean, it's a period movie and it's Little Women, so you don't want the costumes to distract too much. All they really have to do is kind of show the class disparity, I guess, between the
Mhm.
March family and everyone else,
Yes.
including Laurie.
Yeah.
And also just be niceness and just be very lovely and very pretty, I guess.
Yeah.
And they all were that, I think. I really
There's
like the
one
costumes.
scene in that movie which we both adore, and it's set on a beach. The beach is gorgeous, but the costumes in that scene basically made it for me.
Yeah, that's probably the lasting image from the movie.
Yeah, it was so good.
The costumes are really
great.
good. And it's kind of cliche giving the costume design category to the one period piece, or the one older period piece, I guess. But I just think, yeah, they were really good. Joker had like a couple costumes just for Joker himself, so you couldn't have really done that.
Yeah,
Didn't see Jojo Rabbit.
I thought that I liked the design. They did a bunch of like uniforms and stuff, but just did them in a more
Yeah.
colorful way. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
and
very Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
The Irishman just with their old suits.
Mhm.
That is what it is. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, similar.
Yeah.
So I was glad Little Women won. I think it was of this set, it was the one that had the most effort put into the costumes.
Yeah.
And the costumes meant the most to the movie. So
Yeah.
that's really what you're rewarding. So, yeah, good pick, Academy.
Yeah. Also, the costume designer, I really liked her speech. She was
Very classy, dignified.
she was so proud and just like gave a really good speech.
Yeah.
Which normally I feel like when they're not actors or directors, like they don't get a lot of
Yes.
time in the spotlight.
And often when they do, they're too overwhelmed.
Exactly.
Too, but she was very professional. I
Yeah.
think they said it wasn't her first win though, so that's
Yeah, it was her
probably
second
why.
win.
Yeah.
But she was great, and I was really happy for her
Mhm.
because I can imagine the amount of work that would go into designing costumes for so many people.
Yes, true.
She killed it.
Congratulations.
Anyway, what's next, Aaron?
Next up, we have documentary feature, and we're kind of going to skimp over these documentary feature and documentary short subjects because I didn't watch any of them.
Yeah.
It was, in the end, it was a matter of time for me, and I was saying, what movies should I watch, what movies shouldn't I watch, and I'm not a big fan of documentaries.
No, I think they have a role.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a place for them. I like watching, listen, I like a good documentary. These ones seemed very heavy.
Every single one of them.
I think Oscar-nominated documentaries are always tend to be very heavy, but these ones, none of them really appealed to me so much. I would have watched Honeyland because it was also nominated for Best International Feature, and it looked like a legitimately good movie in its own right.
Yeah.
But none of the topics for documentaries, the topic really needs to intrigue you. Whereas I find for fiction movies, you can kind of get away with a mediocre topic if everything else is really good. Documentaries kind of live or die on its subject. None of these subjects really stood out to me except Honeyland. But American Factory won for documentary feature.
Yes.
That was a movie that I heard was very good. My mum watched it on Netflix. She said it was great.
Yeah, I think 4 of these 5 documentary features were they were very specific. They were talking about like bombings of hospitals in Syria and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all very important movies to be made, I think. And the person who won for American Factory was like, I just want to shout out to these 3 movies because the people making them literally were risking their lives.
Yeah, that's
So
the good
it's
thing
like-
about documentary features. It's kind of the most personal form of cinema.
Yeah.
You know, it's like guerrilla filmmaking a lot of the time,
Yeah.
getting the stories out there. So I do appreciate that. And we were talking about the categories last night.
Yes.
Should there be a rework? Because I just mentioned, not in a critical way, but that documentaries are really kind of the only genre which has its own category.
Yes.
But I like that it does. I think it's good because it is distinct from other
Yeah,
films.
it doesn't have actors.
Yeah, it doesn't have actors,
Yeah.
for instance. So, it's all about the filmmaking. I like that the Academy does have the categories it has because it brings films to light which we might not otherwise have heard of.
Yeah.
Even though American Factory, the winner, was on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Still, congrats to that, and congrats to the documentary short subject winner, Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone If You're a Girl.
Yeah, I thought that was really good as well.
Yes.
Cool. So both the documentaries were interesting.
I mean,
Yes,
I don't know. I
ones.
didn't win. I didn't watch them, but
Yeah.
presumably.
Their contents. So the winner for actress in a supporting role was?
Laura Dern playing Nora in Marriage Story.
Yes.
And this was so well deserved. I really wanted her to win. She did win. She was insufferable in that movie because we were on Adam Driver's side, so we just hated her, but she played it so well.
Oh, she was great.
She gave that big speech about how women always get screwed over, and she was referencing the Virgin Mary and all this stuff, and it was just, she was exquisite in the movie. All the acting in the movie obviously was awesome, but she was definitely a standout for me. It was well deserved. She's been in the industry a long time. I don't think she's had a win before.
No, this was her first one.
And she gave probably my favorite speech of the night when she was thanking her mum and her dad and really dedicating it to them as her first acting inspirations. And it cut to her mum in the crowd and she was,
her mum was crying.
in tears. It was a great moment.
It was great.
Yeah, I really liked that.
She wasn't my pick because I really liked, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Florence
Pugh.
Pugh?
Yeah,
she was the
best part of Little Women, yeah.
Yeah.
We were saying how, because we just watched the 90s Little Women before we watched this one,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed that the focus shifted in this one, in this most recent adaptation. Amy was kind of she felt like the main character to me.
Yeah, because in the other one, it came out of nowhere when she married Laurie.
In the 90s Little Women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, why is she, like, we didn't like her. But in this one, we liked her.
Yeah, it also helps that they kept the same actress for young Amy and old Amy.
Yeah, that's true.
And she killed it in both. Very funny. I'm sure she'll win Oscars in the future because from what I hear, she was very, very good in Midsummer as well, which was another quote-unquote snub, which didn't get nominated. I didn't watch that because I don't like to be scared.
Yeah.
But and she's also in the Black Widow Marvel movie, which is coming out soon.
Oh, okay.
So she's on
She'll win some Oscars.
on the rise, definitely. Congrats to Laura Dern. Very well deserved.
Yes.
And now we shift gears to sound editing. Shifting gears, if you know what I mean. Because the winner of sound editing went to
Ford v Ferrari. Another
Ta-da!
movie we didn't get to watch.
I didn't get to watch it, but I feel like this is one movie that I don't need to watch. I know what it is.
Yeah, we know what it is. We knew the sound editing was going to be good because you're mixing some cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know too much about sound editing or sound mixing, which was the next category.
Sound editing is like cutting the sounds.
Yeah, like cutting them together.
Yeah, and sound mixing is making the sounds and overlaying them at different volumes and different directions and stuff like that, and adjusting them, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My pick for sound editing was actually 1917,
Okay.
and I thought it would win because usually the Academy kind of picks a technical movie, and the more technical categories they kind of give to this movie. But I mean, in the end, I'm kind of glad they didn't do that because they spread the love a little bit more. Haven't seen Ford v Ferrari, but I'm sure it really makes you feel like you're out there on the racetrack.
Yeah.
So congrats to Ford v Ferrari for sound mixing. 1917 did get the win.
Yes.
Which I think was deserved because
I think so.
Even when they just go, I feel like you can watch that movie with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
And
it was incredibly immersive.
you're really in there anyway. So it was great.
Yeah.
It was a war movie, so it did have some more opportunity to do this.
Yes.
Explosions, a collapse of a trench that they're in. But well deserved 1917.
Yeah.
Very immersive.
Yeah. The music in that movie was incredible as well.
Yeah, sound mixing also talks about how you overlay the soundtrack.
Yeah, so I thought that was
and they
really
did do
good.
very well there, I agree.
Yeah, so next was cinematography. Who was your pick for that, Aaron?
I wanted The Lighthouse to win, but this was another stacked, well, I say stacked, there were two main front runners to me, and it was The Lighthouse and 1917. Also, shout out to Joker, because it looked incredible.
Yeah, it did.
I don't think that's getting enough plaudits. I know it got a nomination, but I haven't heard people talking about that. Joker looked very, very good. It nailed that kind of old-timey, grimy 70s aesthetic, but also
great.
looking really modern and just aesthetically appealing. The compositions were all great. Liked it a lot. The colors were all very good.
Same with Once Upon a Time. I wouldn't have been, but like the front runners were definitely Lighthouse in 1917.
Lighthouse, I was just so happy that it got a nomination because that movie really wears its cinema on its sleeve, let's say.
Yes.
Every shot is incredible. It has this kind of very square ratio, black and white, high contrast. Yeah, the cinematography is just so beautiful in that movie. Every frame, as they say, every frame's a painting. You can print off every frame and hang it on the wall. It looked incredible. But 1917 won, and I knew it was going to win. It was about as much a lock as you can get in the category, I think, because all the story around this movie was its cinematography. I think there was very little difference between its cinematography and its direction for this particular movie because it's all about the long takes, mapping it out.
Yeah.
And obviously you have the rock star cinematographer, Roger Deakins, behind it.
Yeah.
And it was well deserved because some of the sequences were just incredible. Our favorite one was the night scene, right? With the
Yeah, that was so good.
with the flares lighting up the shadows, or moving the shadows on this town that the main character's looking out the window at.
Yeah, it was one
You
of
have
the
this
only
really-
cuts in the movie, and he woke up to this just incredible.
Yeah, you have this really awesome orange backlight. So playing with light in that movie, they used a lot of natural light. They had to wait for grey days because they couldn't use a lot of lighting because they would have gotten in the camera's way.
Yeah.
Incredible movie, incredible feat. Well done, Roger Deakins, well deserved. 1917.
Yes. So next is film editing, and I gave that to Parasite just because of the montage in the middle, which I thought was really great.
Where they framed the housekeeper.
Yes.
I gave it to Parasite as well. Incredible editing all the way through. I think the editing was responsible for a lot of the humor as well. I don't usually notice editing because I'm just kind of getting into film and learning the language of film and that kind of thing, and from watching more. But that was one thing that I remember mentioning after watching that movie, was that, wow, the editing in that was very, very good.
It was so tight.
Yeah, so it was this is what I imagine movies in 10 years will look like.
Yeah.
It's kind of futuristic. It was incredible. Maybe this is how a lot of movies in South Korea are being made.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the good things about Parasite succeeding so well last night was that more people will be watching more foreign films, South Korean and wherever else. One thing I want to mention for this category is that Marriage Story not being nominated was a shame.
I think so.
The editing was stunning in that movie.
It was.
I really
told
liked
the story incredibly well. Whereas with The Irishman, which was nominated,
Yeah, I
it
didn't
took
like that
you out
editing.
sometimes.
They made some strange choices, and I'm all for experimentation and for showing new things. But The Irishman, it felt like they were making mistakes. I know they weren't making mistakes; everything's intentional, but I just wasn't a big fan of it.
Yeah.
But the winner went to neither of those, and it went to Ford v Ferrari.
Which we didn't watch, but
We didn't watch, but it's a strange pick to me. Anyway, I just think Parasite should have won that.
Next was visual effects.
Presented by James Corden and Rebel Wilson in cat costumes.
Yes, referencing Cats, which came out and was an absolute failure for its visual effects.
Yeah, it was kind of funny actually. I do think the Oscars is in a bit of a lose-lose because whatever sketches they come up with for presentation or just in between the awards, or however good they are, however funny, people will just complain about the runtime of the whole show, the whole ceremony.
Yeah, but it would be really boring if they just announced.
I didn't see much wrong with it yesterday. They went hostless, so that cut a lot of time.
Yeah.
They had the performances, they had the Eminem.
They had the surprise performance.
And they had the cats. And
Yeah.
They had some other little bits and bots and bites. But all in all, it was mostly pretty streamlined.
Yeah, they had a few great, group of female superheroes present one of the award.
Yeah, it was nice and topical a lot of the time.
No, I thought it was great. I think it's
They
a great
can't win
opportunity
for stuff like that.
No.
People are always going to condemn or criticize the Oscars for their presentation of the Oscars.
Yeah. James Corden for visual effects announcing it. I thought The Irishman would get it because they literally created this de-aging technology.
Yeah, I didn't think they would get it, but I hope they would. Because for me,
that's,
as I said yesterday, that's what visual effects are. If you're talking about the category in its kind of purest form, it's about visual effects which I think add to the story but don't get in the way. And I think The Irishman did that best because I wasn't noticing it.
No, I didn't notice it.
And because it was very key to the story, to telling the story.
Yeah.
The winner eventually went to 1917, which I also can't be mad at.
Yeah.
It was a very good-looking movie. The explosions and the effects were all very believable, super immersive. I don't usually react very much to movies, but I was like twitching and being like, "Oh no, don't do that!" and like jumping at all the right time. So everything came together super well in that movie. So congratulations to 1917. What were we saying about the other three nominations?
Oh, the other three nominations were all Disney movies.
Well, that's just the way it is. It's just the kind of movies they make. Superhero movies, these live-action remakes they're making, and a sci-fi. So, from visual effects, we go across to
makeup and hairstyling.
Bombshell.
The winner went to Bombshell. Yeah, I was kind of shocked at that just because I didn't watch Bombshell, but I watched the other ones, and Bombshell just seemed like they were just doing people's regular makeup, like it was just about a bunch of women in media. And I don't know, in my opinion, it'd be harder to make someone look like Maleficent or try and manage
Yeah.
the war makeup in 1917.
But
make
you
people
could
look
say
good.
Bombshells was more key to the telling of the story than the other ones.
Yeah.
And they do reward that a lot of the time. I didn't watch the movie, so I can't... Well, maybe I can say just from trailers, from makeup and hairstyling, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's probably the one category that you don't really need to watch the whole thing for.
Yeah.
It looked good to me. I mean, they all looked like Fox News presenters or whatever it was. I picked Joker just because I think it was the most iconic look. But when you think about it, you can't really give makeup and hairstyling to one makeup and hairstyle.
Yeah, that's true.
He did have different looks in the movie, though. Bombshell won. Congrats to that.
Yeah.
1917 also had a very good shout.
Mhm.
Maleficent, hey, you were nominated.
Yeah.
You can't really complain. And we move on to...
International feature film.
No question about this one.
It was Parasite.
Parasite won. Congratulations to Corpus Christi, Honeyland, Les Miserables, and Pain and Glory.
Yeah, they
You
all
all look
seem
like great
strong.
movies, especially Pain and Glory. I really wanted to watch that one.
Mhm.
One thing I didn't... I mean, they were talking about how they recently renamed this category. It was Best
Yes.
Foreign Language Film, and now it's International Feature Film.
Mhm.
One thing I didn't know about the category was that you can only have one nomination from each country.
Yeah.
So, for instance, France had a few which might have been nominated, but they had to choose which one, or the Academy had to choose, and they couldn't have two French films, for instance.
Yeah.
Which I think was interesting, because here you've got one Polish, one French, one South Korean, one I think Pain and Glory was Spanish,
Yes.
and then Honeyland I think was from Macedonia. It's a neat way of getting more representation, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
But that rule just doesn't sit well with me.
I could see that category maybe expanding. Like Best Picture, you can nominate up to 10, maybe something like that. And
Oh,
then-
you mean having more nominations for the international feature film?
Yeah,
I agree, it's a good
because
idea.
I think because I never even thought about watching international films until like recently. Then I was like, why not?
Well, they're hard to
learn more.
watch.
But like,
They're
if,
not
it's,
as- they're
if
not
they're
as-
well made,
They're not as easy to watch, I mean.
yeah,
They're not as accessible.
yeah, that's true.
We
But I
watch them
think-
when they come. We watch Parasite in theatres.
Yeah.
It got a very extended run.
Yeah,
they're
it's
just-
still on. My
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah, when they come, we've gone to see other international films and stuff, but
Yeah, we should talk about the amount of nominations for each category,
yeah,
because they recently expanded it for Best Picture to 9,
yes.
which I disagree with,
I agree.
because
I disagree.
we get some
Yeah.
strange movies nominated. Not so much this year because it was a very strong year, but last year, some strange movies nominated
Yeah.
because they have to fill 9, and there usually aren't 9 masterpieces
Mhm.
nominated every year, and that's kind of the level or thereabouts that I think what I consider a Best Picture nominee is like.
Mhm.
This will last for years. This is an outstanding achievement. And some of the nominees recently I don't think hit that. So for me, I don't think they should hold themselves, not just for Best Picture, but for any category, I don't think they should hold themselves to 5 or 9 for Best Picture. I think it should just be however many deserve the nomination.
Yeah.
For instance, leading actor this year was famously stacked. You know, everyone's talking about Adam Sandler got snubbed, or Robert De Niro got snubbed.
Yeah. So that could have used more spaces.
Taron Egerton for Rocketman, you know, people saying was super good.
Yeah.
But they had to hold themselves to 5, so no one really got snubbed.
Yeah.
So I think they should just not have to hold themselves to 5. They should just say, okay, the actors were really good this year, so we're going to have 8 nominees. Because
Yeah.
it's an honor for them. Even if then, obviously, you can still only have one winner, it's still, being on this list is a big deal.
Yeah.
I imagine if you put so much time and effort into it.
Yeah. I imagine you, like, also a lot of them are working just to be able to have this platform, to be able to tell their story or thank people. Like, the speeches are, like, my favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah,
And, of course, seeing them get to celebrate their achievements.
I agree.
Because films are just so crucial to our lives. They make us who we are. And I think
Yeah.
celebrating the people who make them is really important.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of talk about the Oscars and award shows, probably with that kind of anti-rich sentiment we have everywhere now. People just
Yeah.
insulting the Hollywood elite, you know, and talking this is just a self-congratulatory ceremony where they can all kind of look at each other looking rich. What do you think about that? Because I can very well understand how on the surface it looks like that. You've got the red carpet, we're saying, oh wow, look what she's wearing, oh wow, doesn't he look good? You know, they're all kind of, it is a very decadent display, of course it is.
Yes.
But I'm just thinking, at its core, it's about celebrating the technical aspects that kind of signify the progress of a medium and an industry, which is film. Is it
Yeah.
incredibly Hollywood-centric? Yes. Should it be like that? I don't think so. There are a lot of other award shows which do recognize other kinds of films.
Mm-hmm.
The Oscars has always been this, and I think it pretty much always will be this.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Talking about international feature film, one question we can have is maybe having that category is just kind of a way for them to avoid nominating those movies for other categories sometimes.
Maybe, yeah.
But Parasite swept. It
Yeah.
won a lot. So I don't even know if you can really say that, because I think the Oscars is doing a lot to highlight other kinds of movies recently.
I think so. They're rewarding
I would
diversity
like to
and-
see even more international films featured
I
in
think
other
so.
categories, because just think about how many people had never seen Parasite before last night, but now they say, well, it's winning all this. I gotta go see this.
Yeah.
And Parasite is probably the foreign movie that's had the most buzz for the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing there were some great movies which didn't get that amount of attention over the last few years. And I'd love it for them to do that. But going back to the concept of the Oscars.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you think about it?
The thing, like, when I like the concept of it, I don't think we need to have people commenting on what people are wearing.
Celebrity culture.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. But at the same time, people work all their lives to be able to have a platform, to be able to share what they believe in.
Mm.
And I think we shouldn't take that away from them.
Do you mean the speeches that are like advocating for certain causes?
Yeah, and just like Leonardo DiCaprio, he has his platform and he's using it for good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them do that. Maybe they don't flaunt it, but they're even advocating for different causes behind the scenes. And I think that's really important. That's like one of the aspects of Hollywood that people don't pay attention to, or they say, oh, well, they're not doing enough. But it's like they genuinely are doing a lot.
They're doing a lot. Most quote unquote, and I hate to use the word normies, but that's what they were saying on E! Last night.
Yes.
Normies and specials. Most normies don't do much work at all. Social work, financial, philanthropy. Yeah. So I think a lot of the anti-rich sentiment we see recently, especially on college campuses, where ironically all the students are pretty rich, is quite petty. I think a lot of it's kind of fueled by jealousy. There's definitely legitimate social inequality, financial issues and class issues, which are widening and which are getting bigger and which need to be addressed politically and socially. But I think getting mad at whatever best actor winning and talking about peace on earth in his speech is just silly. I say let them talk about what they want to talk about. Yeah. They were recognized for doing great work.
Yeah, I think so.
But the celebrity culture can definitely be toned down a lot.
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of weird. And also I was thinking, just as a funny thought, like acting is kind of an interesting profession, because the better you get at it, the harder it gets.
Yeah, exactly.
Because let's say you're as recognizable as Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
It's much harder for him to put in a great performance and disappear into a role because he's Brad Pitt and everyone knows him than it is for him when he was an unknown. So that's kind of interesting. Like the difficulty scales with your fame. Yeah. You can also say the award scale and the recognition scales, and that's definitely true as well. Yeah. But I don't know. I like actors. I think they are historically in culture. They've been kind of they've had an important place. Yeah. Because they are accessing emotions regularly, displaying emotions, going kind of deeper into the psyche, if you want to, than most people do. Yeah. Regularly. They kind of live really, it's a very vulnerable act.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why you see a lot of them struggling in various ways, despite being wealthy, famous, whatever it may be. It's not an easy thing when I think you really commit to that. So I usually congratulate the actors. I think they do really well. And what people don't mention is that the Oscars isn't mostly just for the actors. It's most of these awards that we're talking about have been for sound editing, sound mixing, visual effects, score, and these aren't categories and these aren't people which get a lot of celebration. So I say let them strut on the red carpet and let them have their speech.
Yep, I agree. And a lot of the people's issues with this award show in particular was the
lack of diversity. Yeah,
but
Oscars so white.
I think it's changing. It's just changing with as society is evolving and becoming more diverse.
It's so tough because you look at these nominees and you're like, okay, there was one person of color nominated for an acting role.
Yes.
And that was Cynthia Erivo, and she also was nominated for original song. Okay, there was yet again no female directors.
Yeah.
And not a lot of women elsewhere in any of the technical categories.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it's so easy to blame the Academy and say like, oh, look at the Academy, it's all for white men, it's ran by white men. But the demographics in the voting block is definitely getting a lot more diverse, which is good. So the people who vote for these nominees and for these winners. And in my opinion, the blame just shouldn't always be on the Academy.
No.
We can definitely notice those things, and we can always say, and we should always say, okay, if there's such a lack of, let's say, female directors, something's gone wrong in the industry from birth to now.
Exactly. It's barriers to them even entering the industry.
Yeah.
Even if they're just social barriers saying, well, directors are male.
Yeah.
Or like
Big time.
actors are like
100%.
I think it's just the barriers to entering.
The same for racial and religious diversity.
Yes.
Definitely. The problem is it's too easy to just blame the Academy because they're kind of the last line on the conveyor belt.
Yeah, and they're the ones like rewarding this. But if there's not people even being able to enter the profession of acting because of some kind of barrier.
Yeah, it's not the Academy's fault, basically.
No.
You could say somewhere down the line it is the Academy's fault because they've always highlighted this type of person, said this type of person does this, but it's kind of that's kind of a cycle.
Yeah.
A positive feedback loop, I think,
Yes.
is what you'd say. Things are changing. For instance, for female director, people say, well, Greta Gerwig made Little Women, and that was really incredible. She was snubbed. Olivia Wilde made Booksmart, and that was a really great movie, and she was snubbed. But when I look at these directors, I see Scorsese made The Irishman, and it was an epic. Todd Phillips made Joker, and it was the most talked about movie of the year.
Yeah.
Sam Mendes made 1917, and it was a technical feat.
Yeah.
Tarantino was Tarantino in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. So I say, was there really any snubs? That's another example when just expand the category and have more nominees would probably please more people.
Yeah, and
right?
let people have their moment to celebrate their achievements.
Yeah, don't nominate people who are weaker, but just say, okay, if there's 6 or 7 which are all of equal quality, which I think there were, because I did think
Little
Greta
Women and
Gerwig
Booksmart would have been.
Well, Little Women definitely.
Little Women definitely, yeah.
Just make it 6 nominees. Like,
yeah.
I don't see the trouble in that, and get rid of Ford v Ferrari for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, that's a little rant on diversity. Definitely an issue. Not always the Oscars' fault for snubbing people.
Yeah, and so the next category was original score. I gave it to 1917 in my opinion because I thought it made the movie.
Yeah.
Well, everything made the movie.
That song in the woods. I am a poor wayfaring soldier.
So British when you sing. Oh my gosh.
That was probably one of my favorite. They had because they had no host, so they had these little segments between the awards, or introducing them, and they had for original score, for the first time ever, a woman leading the orchestra, which they mentioned, right?
Female conductor.
Female conductor who kind of did little bits from each movie. I think they do it every year, from what they said, but I never watched deep enough into the awards to see that because I always go to bed.
Yeah.
But that was a really cool moment. It could have gone on longer. I really liked it.
Yeah,
because these movies all had cool scores.
Yeah, they did. It was the nominees were Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Star Wars.
Yeah, I was kind of worried that Star Wars would win it because it would be kind of a like a more of a lifetime achievement recognition thing for John Williams. But in the end, Joker won. It had a very new, ethereal score. I guess it was very key to the movie because he was dancing around a lot.
Yes.
There's kind of a famous scene where they say they threw out the script and Joker just danced to the music they had
playing on their iPhone.
Yeah. Joaquin obviously did really great and kind of elevated that score through the dancing and through the movements of this man.
Yeah.
The score, it was very creepy, atmospheric.
Yeah.
So congrats to that. 1917 was more catchy. Little Women shout out as well because I really liked that, and Marriage Story, the score really lightened the mood because it could have been so heavy.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that wasn't the intention, and the score is what they used to make it not.
Yeah. Congratulations to Joker. Really no wrong choice for that category.
Yeah, they were all good.
And now moving on to original song.
Yeah, so they were all pretty great.
Well,
with the exception of one.
This was another interesting theme running through the night was these performances they had for the original songs.
Yeah.
So you had Randy Newman doing kind of a stripped back, very simple performance of his Toy Story song.
Yes.
And you had all the Elsas from the different international versions of
Frozen
2 performing Into the Unknown, which was very good.
Yes.
They pronounced Idina Menzel's name correctly.
Yes.
And she was introduced by Olaf. Sir Elton doing Sir Elton for Rocketman.
It's great.
And it was a good song. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite performance was the stand-up by Cynthia Erivo. She was also nominated for Best Actress. I think it was a great song. It was kind of very rousing, very good performance. I didn't think it was going to win, and it didn't win.
Yeah, I thought it was the most iconic of all the songs. It's the kind of song that I feel like was probably really closely tied to the film.
I'm gonna love me again. Bum 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 bum.
And that's who won.
I don't think that's the tune, is it?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Oh, we got to mention Breakthrough.
I don't know why it was there.
Shout out Breakthrough. I think you should have won. In the end, no, I'm joking. In the end, they gave it to Sir Elton for I'm Gonna Love Me Again, and it was well deserved.
Yeah.
And he gave a very, very rambling speech, but you could tell they didn't want to play the music to cut him off.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Congrats to him. I don't know if he's ever won an Oscar before. He might have for Can You Feel the Love Tonight for The Lion King. I don't know.
I don't know.
Congrats to him. Oh, do we want to talk about the other original song or performance?
Which one?
Eminem.
Oh, so they had this montage when we thought that we were going to be
finding
out who won.
Yes.
And so they did a montage of all the best
original songs through history. Yeah.
We have Footloose. We got
yeah, The Bodyguard.
Yeah, everything. And then it cuts to Lose Yourself.
A very classical violin themed kind of intro to Lose Yourself, which was just going on a little bit too long.
Because every other song was about a 4-second
Yeah,
clip.
but this one they just kept going. You know, the intro to Lose Yourself was like, but it was like violin.
Yes.
And then they cut to someone in another movie saying like, "You got to lose yourself." Oh no, there's like, "You've only got one chance." And I was like, "They're gonna do it, aren't they?" And then that tribute video cut off, and we just see someone rising
with fireworks,
rising with fireworks like a messianic figure. And I was thinking,
Eminem
yes. And Eminem came out, hood up, angry face on, and he just performed for all these, very, very old white industry people, and they were loving it, I'm sure.
It was the deadest crowd Eminem has probably ever performed to. Everyone was just kind of like bopping their heads. Some people were looking incredibly confused.
I think one of my favorite books was Scorsese just kind of sitting there,
asleep.
falling asleep. He was probably like, I'm 70, why am I here? What are they doing?
Yeah, some of the younger people were like singing along, getting really hyped.
Yeah.
I'd be getting really hyped.
It was just so bizarre. It was like,
so
that's 18 years old. I think it was 2002.
Yeah.
Why was he there? As much as I, listen, Marshall, I love you. I was happy you were there because I was losing my mind. I thought it was hilarious. But it's just like, we were talking about the runtime for the Oscars. If you're looking for something to cut, this was it.
It's because it was the only performance that wasn't one of the best songs.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was a surprise performance.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just in the neighborhood and he said, "Do you mind if I do Lose Yourself?" And they said, "Okay." But very strange. I'm happy with it. I mean...
Yeah. It wasn't the only hip-hop of the night, though.
Wasn't it?
No. One person, while announcing or like doing some kind of skit, he did a little
rap. Yeah, about halfway through he did a rap that was summarizing all the awards so far.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good. I don't remember his name or what he was from.
Thought it was from Hamilton.
He might have been.
Anyway, what was next?
Do you think they should go with a host or not? I don't think they need it.
No, I think it would be kind of boring.
It just seems like they're kind of fishing for controversy if they go for a host. So for them, it's just easier because then they don't have anyone. We're not auditing anyone's tweets.
No one wants to host because of the scrutiny that comes with it.
I mean, for me, I think Eminem should get the nod, but
yeah, he probably should.
Oh, another performance, kind of a more sad one, from Eminem was Billie Eilish performing for the In Memoriam, a stripped-down performance of Yesterday.
Yes.
I thought she did well. I thought it was a good In Memoriam.
Yeah, she's a great singer.
Obviously honoring Kobe, Kirk Douglas, and some other, or a lot of other very long-lasting industry people who died. I like the In Memoriam segment. I think it's nice.
Yes.
She gave a very reserved performance. It was good.
Mm-hmm. She and her brother Phineas.
Phineas and Ferb. Now moving on to...
Directing?
Yeah, these are kind of the last few categories, and it's the ones that people care about the most.
Yes. Most high-profile individuals. So The nominees were for The Irishman, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite.
Yes. What was your pick?
Parasite.
Right. I kind of wanted Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to win because I don't think Tarantino's ever won Best Director. I could be wrong. And I think he was really great. Again, there really wasn't much to choose between these movies.
Great.
I was hoping that The Joker or 1917 wouldn't win because 1917 won for cinematography and because I don't think the direction in Joker was that awesome. The Irishman could have won for me. I would have been fine with it. Once Upon a Time could have won for me and I would have been fine with it. Parasite was what did win. And I'm glad it did win because Bong Joon-ho came up and I liked all his speeches that he gave through the night because this was
his third.
This was his third one of the night. And he was just very, very shocked and surprised and very visibly shocked.
Yeah.
And I like seeing people genuinely happy. I think that's more interesting than just seeing a pre-prepared speech or whatever it may be.
Yeah, he got up there. He's like, I thought I could take a rest. Like, I thought I was done after
Yeah, I
winning
thought I was
international
done.
feature.
So good for him. Good for Bong Joon-ho. It's incredible. And I'm sure he has a lot of great movies to come. Yeah. I liked his speech for this one as well. He was kind of thanking all the other nominees, right?
Mm-hmm.
They actually gave a standing ovation for Martin Scorsese. He was just sitting down and he was kind of saying, no, don't clap me. This is for Bong. He mentioned how Tarantino always highlighted his movies when he was a lesser-known Korean director, which I thought was so Tarantino, and that was hilarious. And he also shouted out Sam Mendes and Todd Phillips for doing really good work. So
yeah, he was literally like, I love you, Tarantino.
Yeah.
Or he said, I love you, Quentin.
Yeah.
It was so sweet. I loved that speech.
Yeah, it was very good moment. Moving on for directing, we go to actor in a leading role, and this was, to no surprise,
Yes.
Joaquin Phoenix for Joker.
Yeah, any other year, any of the other nominees or some of the nominees we would have put in there, we
Like
think
who?
would have won.
Who was snubbed?
Who was snubbed?
Yes.
Well,
You watched The Two Popes. I didn't watch The Two Popes.
I thought he did well, but this year
Jonathan Pryce, that is.
there was no competition for him. I thought Leonardo DiCaprio was good as well, but he didn't.
I think he was good, but I don't think he was as incredible. And it was bizarre to me that people weren't talking about this as a snub. I'm not a fan of snubs because, as I said, I think they should just expand the nominations.
Yeah.
But I think just having watched The Irishman last night, I think De Niro gave an absolute masterclass in that movie.
Yeah,
but that's the kind of performance that they don't usually reward because it was so understated, and because he's such a master of his face. But even through the de-aging and everything, I mean, it was an epic story told over decades. I really think he should have been nominated. Probably I would pick in place of DiCaprio. But I think Leonardo DiCaprio kind of gets by on his name a little bit. And this was a very star-studded movie and it had a lot of buzz behind it. I liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a lot.
So did I.
I don't think he was one of the best parts about it. I think he was just kind of, he did well.
Yeah. But I thought, was it Willem Dafoe?
For The White House?
Yeah.
I think they would have given that supporting, that was the thing.
Oh, yeah.
The problem with that is it was a two-hander by him and Robert Pattinson. And they both had very equal, Pattinson was the main character, but they both had equal screen time, so it would have been tough. So I think it should have been supporting role for him. And I think De Niro should have been nominated for actor in a leading role. But my pick was also Joaquin Phoenix for Joker because it's an iconic performance.
It was incredible.
Everyone's heard all about it by now.
Yes.
The laugh was great. It's kind of a lot of the elements of a film which usually you can put down to the filmmaking, he did.
Yeah.
So carrying the story, carrying the tone, it was really just a vehicle for him to do his stuff, and he was great. And I think I heard Todd Phillips talking about it in another interview when he was talking about blocking and directing and mapping things out, and he said when you have an actor like Joaquin, that's not how you do it. You kind of just let him do what he wants.
Yeah.
Give him free reign over the set, and it paid off because he was just incredible in that.
Yeah, he deserved to win. I really liked Adam Driver in Marriage Story.
Oh yeah.
I thought him and Scarlett Johansson, any other year, I feel like they could have won. He was just so emotional. It was incredible.
And a full range.
Yeah.
With the anger, the sadness, he sang, very believable. Yeah, he was incredible.
Yes.
I do think any other year, or most other years, let's say, he would have won, and it would have been deserved, but Joaquin Phoenix was just incredible.
Yeah.
And he had the most buzz, and it was the most talked about thing, and, it was the most timely movie. So yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Joaquin, and he gave a kind of scrambled speech about veganism and being kind to each other and injustice, which had a good message. I liked it.
Yeah, it was the only speech that was like explicitly.
Yeah, that went to be social activist kind of vibe.
Yeah, I appreciate that though. I think that's what.
Yeah, he's a very outspoken vegan, quoted his brother River Phoenix, which was quite sad. It was a nice speech, or a nice lyric that he came up with. Yeah, it was nice. I liked it.
Check it out if you're interested in like the best. Well, there were some good speeches, but that was the most interesting one to me.
Yeah, most interesting, definitely.
Yeah. And then that brings us to actress in a leading role.
And the award goes to
Renee Zellweger.
In Judy.
In Judy, yes.
Didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it, but based on just clips I've seen of that movie,
She looked very good.
She seemed really good, yes.
Yeah. My pick was for Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story.
Me as
I
well.
think she was just as good as Adam Driver.
Yeah, the two of them were stars.
And it's kind of a shame for her because she had 2 nominations and didn't win either of them.
Mm-hmm.
She could have won for actress. They gave it to Renee Zellweger. She gave a nice speech about... What was it about?
Hers was just very thank you. She just was listing people, if I recall. She was just thanking everybody.
Yeah.
She thanked the troops, the firemen.
Oh, yeah, she was thanking everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, congrats, Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the movie. Maybe I'll watch Judy. She plays Judy Garland. It looked very good. It looked very kind of showbiz.
Harriet seemed really good as well.
Yeah. And that, just as it's unfortunate for Scarlett Johansson, it's unfortunate for Cynthia Erivo because she was nominated for 2 things and she didn't win either as well.
Yeah, and both her and Scarlett were really strong based on the performances I saw.
Yeah, I want to watch Harriet.
Yeah.
I think that's we're watching the industry at play there because I didn't know much about this movie. It wasn't marketed big time. It didn't have a super wide release. Not a lot of buzz behind it. But it looks like a great movie to me. I didn't even know there was a movie about Harriet Tubman. Sounds interesting. I'd like to watch that, but very unfortunate for her.
But at the same time, it's good that it was brought to light, and now we're going to watch it. Whenever it comes available.
For sure.
Yeah, and that brings us to the final event of the night.
The big award, and over the night, let's say going into the night, I think the decision was split. I was kind of tracking the odds, and it was split. Who's going to win Best Picture, 1917 or Parasite?
Yeah.
And then I had no idea. I was hoping Parasite.
Yes,
that was
of course.
That was both of our picks.
Yes.
And for me, as much as I love 1917, it was a great movie-going experience, and I walked out of it like, that was incredible.
Yes.
Very similar for Marriage Story.
Yeah.
Incredible, like nothing I've seen. Little Women hit some really, really, really high highs, but I think overall it maybe didn't maintain that level.
Yeah, fair.
Joker was Joker.
It's going to be an iconic movie no matter what.
And The Irishman was just a sprawling 3.5-hour masterpiece. Masterwork, Scorsese, Pacino, De Niro, Pesci, The Mob.
Shout out to The Mob.
Shout out to The Mob. It was, I mean, that sums it up.
Yeah,
that's as much of a recommendation to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was the most Tarantino movie yet. Just kind of 2 hours of Hollywood indulgence. Brad Pitt shirtless, bare feet, Margot Robbie, Leonardo DiCaprio on set as a failing actor, and the Manson family doing their thing. It was incredible. And then obviously exploding in violence at the end. And
Jojo Rabbit
didn't see. Ford v Ferrari didn't see. Ford v Ferrari seems like it stands out a little bit to me on this list as maybe not having the same level of artistry as the other ones.
Yes.
But it looks like it has great performance and a fun plot.
Yeah.
And the winner, of course, goes to Parasite for the most crowd-pleasing moment of the night. And everyone in the building wanted it to happen. And over the course of the award show, and it keeps winning awards, and it's kind of getting a bigger applause every time. And we're thinking, like, this is going to happen. Like, Parasite's going to win.
Because they won 3 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And 1917 had
won 3. And then
this was the tiebreaker.
Yeah. And Parasite won, so it picked up 4 for the night. And the whole cast, producers, and the director came up.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was incredible.
Because the actors, like, every single one of them were there. They were so hyped.
Yeah, just a big ensemble on the stage. Was it the first ever foreign film to win Best Picture? So I hope it kind of blows that door open, breaks that glass ceiling, as they say, and now we can see more light shone on other film industries, not just Hollywood, because Parasite was an incredible movie.
Yes, and I liked in the speech given by the producer of Parasite, she was saying the film industry in Korea, they like pushed you really hard, like they'll tell you if you're bad.
Oh yeah.
And she was saying like that's why we are such a great product, is because of the
critique
of that film industry. So it's
Yeah.
like I could see if some other great movies coming.
Definitely want
in
to watch some more South Korean movies now. Definitely
Yeah.
want to at least watch the rest of Bong Joon-ho's filmography.
Yeah.
Just the movie of the year, definitely.
Yeah.
When I say that, I mean the 2019 movie, definitely.
Mhm.
It's about class. It's about just everything which we've seen in the news, but it's not preachy. Probably one of the best experiences I've ever had watching a movie in the theaters, because we came in not knowing much,
We knew
right?
nothing.
When we went to go see it, I was like, Parasite, that's getting a lot of buzz. We should go see it.
Mm-hmm.
And the posters don't give much away at all. And then the plot is just like something you've never seen before. It changes like 3 times
Because
through the
I
movie.
expected it to be a horror movie or like a thriller.
The tone shifts.
Yeah. Completely changed from
I
drama to comedy.
and
it was
in about a few seconds,
Yes.
several times through the movie, there's comedy, and then there's an impact, and we're like, oh. And watching this in the theater was so crazy, because it was as movie-going experiences are supposed to be. Everyone's laughing, jumping, kind of gasping. Everyone's reacting. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
It was so well deserved. Oh.
Yeah, I think it's going to set a precedent for more movies, or
More
maybe
ambitious movies?
more ambitious movies change how we go to the theater.
I hope
Because
so.
when you go to see Star Wars, you know what you're getting. You know what
true.
you're getting when you go to see The Lion King.
And now for The Marriage Story and The Irishman, you don't even have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you can watch it at home. I love a movie that does everything, and this movie did everything. It was rousing. It was very thought-provoking, funny, great looking. The production design was incredible. The acting from the poor family and the rich family, and the montage sequences,
Mm-hmm.
everything. Oh,
The conclusion. Do you ever think about that? Like the
conclusion, yeah.
it's so strong.
Um,
Oh my goodness. Anyway, Parasite cleaned up.
Congratulations, Parasite. I hoped it happened, and it did happen.
Yeah.
Well done to the Academy for making the right pick.
Yes.
People were talking about 1917 and saying, oh, what are, cinephiles, I mean, were saying
Mm-hmm.
this will be a disgrace if 1917 wins. It wouldn't have been a disgrace, because that was a great
No.
movie by itself, but Parasite was the right choice.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy it won. I'm so happy that more people are going to see it now. And I'm so happy that we'll see more foreign film being recognized at the Oscars, because this probably really normalized it.
Yeah. That's
So
just
those
what
are our
wraps it up.
24 awards.
Yeah. Do you have any closing remarks, Aaron?
Film touches the soul.
Really does.
Oh, my closing remark is probably, tell me, what's a timberman want with being a wiki? That's a quote from Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse. He was snubbed, but whatever.
Yes, we think film is incredibly important.
Why just
part of
spill
culture.
your beans?
Aaron has been quoting the Lighthouse since watching it. It's not the
What?
last you're gonna hear.
You don't like me, lobster?
Okay, where can they find us, Aaron?
We're on... Where are we? What are we? Oh, we're the Environmental Podcast on Instagram @the_environmental, where we post very cool behind-the-scenes features and our inspirations and some video content, some science, and some cool original content which we come up with, which will hopefully fix the world.
Yeah, sounds
And
good.
we also release a new podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Hope you all have a great day.
Bye.